What are we doing over here, little ones? Sorting out your learning space. I love it. Alright, we're going to set this up so everyone can watch. Have you looked under for any snail escapees? No fish jumpers? Picking the eggs first, putting them in all their little locations. So we've got the fry grow outs, the little fry grow out systems, and their bigger tanks, but regardless, I don't want to feed the fish first, have all that food residue on my hands, and then be picking eggs and potentially fungusing up, if that's a word, those eggs. So pick the eggs first before I feed. On work days, I feed all the fry mainly. I've learnt my lesson. If I feed the adults, they get into a bit of a frenzy, and if I'm in a hurry and I've got to get to work, I can't stand here checking to make sure there's no jumpers. They get a bit crazy sometimes, and if the water level is up after I've just topped all the tanks up, they can go a bit nuts. So I wait a few days and I'll come in and check. All the water levels are pretty good, and I'm going to be in here for at least an hour. There's always something else to be doing. Other tanks need more plants, so I harvest plants from in here, inside tanks where I've got lizards and things like that. They're destroying the tanks because they're inside the lizard enclosure. So we're trialling different things and seeing what plants are actually the toughest. So you got your Java ferns, your Nubius and all them hardier type, tougher leaf plants. Pothos as well, the Monstera, anything that can grow underwater like that. All the stems I'm finding not great for the lizard. So as I was saying, all these mops get checked of an afternoon when I've got work. But if I'm off, I'll check them in the mornings, because you want to be checking them before anything else has a chance to eat them. And even the breeders can sometimes eat their own eggs if they're feeling a bit peckish, which these guys, they're never really going without food, but they're always hungry, and they're like dogs, they'll just keep eating until they burst. So we just might. Okay, so feeding. Down here, we've got yellow puck and sonai. Fry, because down in this main one there was snail leeches and hydra really affecting the fry. We've got the little nurseries where we can sort of protect them a bit more and see those things a lot easier. But with the hydra, I've been treating it with no planaria. That really knocks the hydra on the head. And obviously if you've got any planaria in the tank, it'll get rid of that. It does not affect the snail leeches. And I got timbers from a property, my parents' property, and a lot of the timbers I found contained these snail leeches, which I don't know if they go dormant because they were out of the weather for a while, and or some of these plants, I've noticed the snail leeches, when they release their worms, their babies, they're extremely tiny. So it could have came on the salvinia, which I didn't know was actually a bad no-no, like not a good one to have. Months ago, got that from a client, and she didn't even know it was an invasive species either. So now everyone's learned a lesson. And I have tried to get rid of it, but now I've improved the lighting. It's taken off of the top tanks. These ones I remove, I put them up to the top tanks, because I do find when the heat gets to a certain temperature up there, it really slows the growth down of that salvinia, and anything else, I'm breaking it down, I'm using it as sort of mulch, where it's not going to be washed away into waterways. That's all we can do with that. So back to what we're feeding. Let's just go through it all. I don't need to give you the rundown of everything, every story that every tank has had. We're just going to feed and away we go. So we've got yellow pipe and sonai, we've got dwarf neon rainbows, and we have deepwater creeks. The deepwater creeks in this plastic drum are in their separate nursery fry grow out container. So it's just a pinch of bug buffet for all of them. And sprinkle that powder around. I've been feeding a bit more heavily because there's about 100 fry growing out in that 100 litre plastic grower container. This is the goiter rivers I'm doing here. Up here is just a non-heated tiny little tank that was using as like a hospital tank. I put in some rice fish eggs just to see what would happen. They're very hardy fish. The temperatures in this were months ago at like 12 degrees at night, ramping right up in the daytime up to mid-20s. So they had great temperature fluctuations even as eggs, survived right through as fry, and now they're growing out. They're at breedable size right now, at least half of them. So that little experiment worked, and inside is the same deal. I've removed a lot of heaters from the inside tank simply to save on some power. And I really do like these rice fish, so I'm going to get more Madakas. These are the Daisy Blue rice fish variety. So morning time, I normally don't feed these guys, as I said, when I've got work days, but I do when I'm off, because why not? And they love it. So it does help them breed a bit more if you're fattening them up, and they're definitely not going without food. I've ordered some new food from New Life Spectrum, I believe is the brand. Yeah, and it's New Life Spectrum Insectum, so direct competitor with the bug buffet in my eyes. I'm going to be trialling it and testing out their fry, starter, grow out powder as well, and I'll be using that in the smaller nurseries because it's only a 60 gram little jar, and I'm just going to trial it specifically for those nurseries just to see the difference in growth and quality of the fish as they grow up and grow out. And as always, guys, when you know this hobby, there's always something else that you're trialling and seeing what works better. And the food's just another way of doing it. I've got maybe 4 or 5. I've got 5 actually. Cory catfish in the bottom, stir-bys. They bred a few times in here, and I randomly placed eggs in tanks just to see what would happen. And one actually grew up in the fry tank without me knowing for months. Grew to nearly full size. And that one's down back in here. What else we got here? Mystery snails. All these little bristlenose that you see getting around were bred from inside in the 4-foot tank. And every other little fish you see in here, pretty much, besides the larger fish, they were all bought. Everything smaller than those larger ones were bred. So everything that's seen, we're pretty much bred now. Which is a cool feeling to see. It's like a whole little aquarium, but we bred them all, we didn't buy them all. So we started with, what was it, about 6 boys Marnie. I got more inside, but we had dramas with the 6-foot tank and lost a few. So started fresh out here. This is all rainwater. And I'm finding the TDS levels of that sits around 4, which is perfect because I've done 90% water changes on tanks with shrimp in it, with maybe fry in it, everything else, and nothing appears to be affected. Definitely not long term because the numbers are just still going through the roof. The only reason I'm doing water changes is for the tenons, which they're getting due again, but it's good. I like the look. It gives every tank its own little vibe, its own universe, if you like, and it's yeah, always something new. So should tell you what I keep feeding, shouldn't I? I just get lost. Rice fish are up here. These are the boys Marnie. I've got Wanamensis and everything else that is bred. Their babies are in here. We've got the baby rice fish here, and we've got the boys Marnie breeders. We've got the orange Parkinsoni. Got the boys Marnie babies, orange Parkinsoni babies that are more likely to be female, more likely to be male in that top right. More boys Marnie babies, and in that nursery, even more. Also, I've got a mop in here because I tried the Wanamensis for so long to breed and they just wouldn't do it for me. I'm blaming the girls because the males tried the best and there's nothing wrong with them, they look amazing. But the girls just weren't getting plump, they weren't showing. I don't know if Wanamensis need to be a certain age, but all the others breed at a very young age really for a fish. But the Wanamensis for some reason just didn't do it for me yet. So I've left this mop in here and then I picked the eggs. There could be a hybrid and it's not good to do that. I'm not going to be selling these fish, but I want to make sure if I come in here one day and I see them breeding, they will be set up in their own little tank. I'll more than likely put them inside the house as a prize type fish, because that fish to me is something special that really needs to be out there more, in Australia especially. And yeah, if anyone knows rainbows, you know the Wanamensis, and they're very cool. The boys Barney, they're sort of a dime a dozen, but still an amazing fish. The orange and yellow Parkinsoni, something different that a lot of people think are cool. Loving the black tip fins with that contrast of the yellow or the orange, and the big deep red on the males. Just, they're all amazing. They've all got their own place. The deep water creeks are actually very surprising. Inside we've got the checkered rainbows, the desert rainbows. All of those also very amazing fish, but I've got to go off what will sell, and they take a while to colour up, those ones, compared to, you look at all these other ones. If you get up close, you'll be able to see their colour at such a juvenile stage. They're just happy fish. So anyway, I think that's about all the fish. Have you got anything to tell everyone what you enjoy about doing all this stuff, or what have you learned in homeschooling so far this morning?
Probably nothing, because
Dad tried to talk on the camera.
Yeah, but I wanted to.
I hope I got every tank. I got distracted, but I think I did.
I want everybody to have a look at these.
Alright, we'll grab the camera. We'll show them the setups a bit more close. Rightio, so Heath, what are we looking at?
We're looking at some fishies and like Deepwater Creek.
Everyone knows they're fishies. What are they?
Deepwater Creek rainbows.
Yes, and that mulm in the bottom hasn't been affecting them, has it? That little bit of dirt? Nope,
Yeah.
That's fine. They're fine, they're used to it. They're in creeks. It's a lot dirtier in the creeks. Now, in here, getting some glare, but
we have some rainbows.
we do. What type?
Not both Marnie.
No, yellow Parkinsoni babies, along with dwarf neon rainbows, or the Praecox rainbow fish. We have many shrimp growing out. We're just going to have a Skittles tank of shrimp. We've got one of those little snail leeches right there. There's actually a few more than one in here, but as these fish grow up, that'll be a snack, and they eventually get on top of the population. And in this tank I'm finding not getting too many deaths. The hydra seem to be the worst for the fry, and we've also got some mystery snails growing out in there. So I've just noticed, Heath, these little filters are really good, except they block up if you're feeding heavily and there's mulm in the bottom of the tank and it's getting stirred up. They will clog up very quickly, and I prefer to have the aeration from them, which, if Heath would shine the torch over towards where the bubbles are, you'll see what it can actually be doing. It's great flow. It's about 400 litres per hour for that little, what's the word, Heath? Internal filter. Now, talking about the food, the New Life Spectrum. This is from the local fish shop. The light's a little bit too bright there, Heath. You've got to hold it above something, not on it. That's it. So, $90, 600 grams. I've ordered the New Life Spectrum Insectum.
Yeah.
For 2.2 kilos. It was like 180 bucks. I think 185 exact. Therefore, when you work it out, you're pretty much getting half price for similar type food. And I think the Insectum's going to be even better than that stuff. That'll be fed to all, as well as there is some fry grow out type powder coming as well. So all these beautiful fish up here,
But
we'll be getting new food very shortly, and I'm hoping it's getting delivered today.
Let's go to the biggest and tiniest tank.
Alright,
So start
there's the big boy.
No, the biggest tank and
Oh, the
tiniest
biggest tank.
So we
Okay.
have here, which is that one first.
Good boy.
This one is the biggest,
Is a 5-foot tank.
5-foot tank.
Yeah, holds about 400 and something litres, this one. This is going to house, what, Heath? All our spare
Yeah.
breeders.
Yes.
Yes, so.
And then to the.
And it's also, sorry mate, it's housing Wanamensis at the moment until we set up a tank inside the house so we can start breeding them if they all breed, the little buggers. Yes, continue.
So then next we'll have the tiniest tank up there.
Mm-hmm. So we've gone from biggest to smallest.
Yes. And now
Okay.
the medium.
And what has that got in it?
Rice fish.
Correct! Rice fish babies and some shrimp. So you'll notice every tank I try to have,
But now
we can't have shrimp up in here because these guys just go to town on them. Anything that fits in a fish's mouth, they will eat, as we all know. So,
but my favorite tank, I would have to say, is down here.
yeah, it's pretty cool. This is one of the best. This is simulating what we've done inside.
I see a Bristol-nose catfish.
Yes, so let's see if we can get a bit closer without any glare.
See it?
Yeah, well I can see a shrimp. And there's the little catfish. So all these catfish we bred inside, chuck them all out here. I've got one calico coloured one in here and I'm hoping to get more calico bred in this one. So we've got red cherry shrimp, we've got rice fish, we have the bristlenose obviously,
I don't think it's there,
we have
Dad.
plants, and we have mystery snails. So tanks like this, where we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things breeding out and sellable items in the tank, is what we want to simulate in all the tanks.
And then the baby fish, I'll go to both of the baby fishes tanks.
Okay.
This is the first one.
Yeah.
You see?
This is what?
So we have.
Boys Marnie.
Yeah.
Might be better from the end of the tank. Nope. Now, you'll notice I don't scrape the sides or the back, I try and scrape the front. Again, it just makes sense, visibility, clarity, and it just looks cooler.
Yeah, and we also do have
Blue Dream.
shrimp.
Yeah, Blue Dream shrimp. Dreamy blue shrimp,
And
or
then
whatever you
also
call them.
the tank next to it.
Blue bolt.
The tank
Still learning all the
over
shrimp
here
names.
next to it.
Yeah, cool looking either way.
We have, I think this is the orange breeding tank.
Yes, so we've got red and yellows shrimp.
Yes.
Good boy. And we're trying to make orange.
Yeah, because
So?
that's kind of how the colors work.
Correct.
Because you can't just get it.
And I did chuck in some shrimp in here. I noticed the other day they were still alive. There's a few blues in here. I'm trying to keep the blues with the boys Marnie. We've also done blue and yellow, trying to make green shrimp. Those experiments are taking place in these end tanks, down the bottom and up here. So you'll see there's a little bluey, and there should be a few big yellows in here. They have all bred ever since. And again, all the drip acclimation and everyone hears about all this stuff you've got to do with shrimp, and they're so hard to breed. And with the rainwater, I'm finding, as long as I've added coral, which is probably something I should mention, little bag of coral, I've just chucked it literally in as a substrate, just to raise and buffer that pH a little bit. This one is pretty much all substrate is
Oh yeah, and the other
coral.
baby tank is right here.
correct. Now, I take my inspiration from a lot of people on YouTube, and a lot of our ideas. No one's got an original idea. If you're following along all these channels, everyone's got inspired from someone else along the way, and they've just made it their own. So this is my way of doing it, which is a mixture between MD fish tanks, Father Fish, Keeping Fish Simple, and everyone else that I've been inspired by across YouTube. I've looked at things knowing from gardening perspectives what works, knowing how the bug life works and the
also
microbes in the soil work, hence why we mulch mow and everything. Isn't that right?
And and also people who also got inspired by was some of my fish people.
Correct. I liked aquarium info. So, all these tanks, I've got garden soil at the base. Then I've done river sand on this one, and then capped with pool filter sand, simply because the plants weren't growing. It was releasing too much CO2 into the tank. It was also, I was finding the lighting wasn't great because I only had little LEDs. Upgraded these ones thanks to Nick from Keeping Fish Simple for the inspiration for those. And that has helped the floating plants on top and kept these ones alive. At least they're not thriving, but they're alive. Little whiptail catfish, also from Nick. There's 2 in there, hoping they're a pair. Not confident looking at their noses. Now, all these other ones that I'm finding where the plants did really well, it was the soil, same bags of garden soil, just from your nursery, capped with that 2 inches of sand. So this is more of a Father Fish inspired tank. And that's where I found the most results, along with something like this, where it's semi-MD inspired simply because it's very thick at the back, and then the substrate thinner at the front, still fairly thick, but I wanted that beefiness in that substrate to be able to see all this happenings at the front, because they're all chemical reactions that it's just interesting to me to see, where you see the light hits it, gets that red little tinge of all the bacteria, and yeah, it's just cool. Like, there's always something else to be looking at. So I don't even know where we're going with this video, Heath, but I think that'll do.
Yeah, probably everything we're going in this video. It was
We'll start writing down what we want to talk about. Yes, Baba.
Now it's
And also the angel fish is inside.
They are, good girl. That'll finish the video off, and we'll do that next time. We'll show you the baby angelfish that bred in our 6-foot tank.
And
how we
also in
obtain
my
their
room.
eggs and their little fry, and they are in your bedroom. All right,
Yeah.
sign off. Say, see you all later.
See ya. Bye. Hey, stop on.
Bye, Abigail.